Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Nate Slater.
And I'm Chris Sandberg, and today we're going to be discussing and reviewing Season 2 of Peacemaker.
So, folks, if you've been living under a rock, you might not know that the DCEU is now the DCU, and it's been rebooted by James Gunn. And so far, he's doing pretty good. Superman was a pretty good movie. I believe we gave it an 8. And next in line is where we are now with Peacemaker season 2. You might be wondering, why season 2? What is season 1? Where does that fall? Well, season 1 kind of falls in this weird gray area where it happened. Even the Suicide Squad movies happened, but they happened somewhat differently. As you find out at the beginning of Peacemaker season 2, if you watch season 1, at the very end, the Justice League shows up, meaning like Henry Cavill's Superman, even though he's kind of silhouetted. You had the Flash, Wonder Woman. I think, was Martian Manhunter there? I think he
I
was. I think they
don't
added
recall.
him. And then obviously Jason Momoa's Aquaman. But at the beginning of this, it's not them that shows up when they do the recap. It's the Justice Gang. Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, Superman, and Mr.
Mr.
Terrific.
Terrific.
Was there somebody else that showed up? I can't remember. I feel like there's
No,
one
I
other
believe it was
person.
just those four.
All right. Well, they show up, and then the show carries on from basically where it left off. I guess that's supposed to tell us that what we saw before isn't necessarily, as far as Peacemaker goes, what he's been in and Rick Flag Jr. has been in, isn't really retconned or fully like out of this universe. So we're not at a full reboot, kind of. We're kind of at a soft reboot to where
Yeah.
if there's some things you want to see, it's there for context or reference to get you to this point, but it's not really needed. The flashbacks that we see are, of course, of the previous season of Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad movies. More or less the recent one where Peacemaker kills Rick Flag Jr. to kind of set up where Rick Flag Sr.'s head is in this season about Peacemaker as a person. He obviously doesn't like him. He killed his son, but he keeps saying like, no, I don't hate him, which find it hard to believe. Like someone kills your
Yeah.
son,
Oh, it's
unless
very personal. I
unless
mean, you
yeah.
find that out very much so that it is still very personal with the very last scene. So,
Yeah, it's just that Rick Flag Sr. is trying to get his agenda across, but he doesn't want to seem like his judgment is clouded by the death of his son, so he's hiding it until he can fully reveal his plan, like every master villain. Even though Rick Flag really isn't a villain, he's in that gray area where the villains don't think that they're villains. They're just doing the best for them and their family or whatnot, which makes Rick Flag Sr. a complicated character because, how would you feel if your kid was murdered by some meathead?
yeah, well, I feel like a lot of the characters have become very nuanced. They might have
Yeah.
been kind of one tone. Certainly, a couple of them were very one tone in the first season, and by this season, especially by the end of this season, they have completely turned around based on the events.
Yeah. And the fact that a lot of these characters, like the smaller characters, they were in, I believe they were in the Suicide Squad. Not all of them.
Judo Master?
Judo Master wasn't in Suicide Squad. He was in the first season
No,
of
no, he's the first season though. Yeah,
yeah, he was in the first season, but as far as Amelia Harcourt and
Economos.
yeah, I know they were in the second one. They're bringing back some of the characters for good reason. I guess maybe they wanted to get rid of Amanda Waller from this, obviously, to have Chris's story go further. So we have all these characters that we really don't need to be introduced to or reintroduced to, but we do have some new characters, and they do play a part in the bigger picture of the season as to where who's going to give Chris some grief, who's going to be a new friend with him, who's going to stay an enemy with him. The main plot point of this is it is a multiversal show.
At the core of it. So I guess what I really like about it is that they took a very small detail of the first season and then made an entire season about it and was able to link everything that's happening with the changes to that one small thing.
Yeah.
And the one small thing is just being the interdimensional pocket universe that they have going on in his dad's closet.
Yeah.
And they do obviously give us a lot more of a background on it in this season. It's not just, hey, it's there. We learned that his dad is not some kind of tech genius, as you may have thought previously, in making the door or purchasing it for someone. No, they found it. He shot an alien that had it. It makes sense with the other alien that keeps popping up throughout the first and second season that he always says hello to.
Yeah.
I do like that we got to see behind a few more of these doors
Which I
throughout
didn't
this
expect
season.
them to.
No, but yeah, so to get on to track, it's just he's feeling very upset about a lot of things that had previously happened. Um, More specifically, how he was treated after saving the world from the butterfly threat, which was, you know, interesting. That
Yes.
first season definitely caught a lot of people off guard. We didn't really know what to expect. I mean, John Cena's character was very much a throwaway character for that movie. He, was just one of those, oh, he's just, one of the villains that doesn't really, I mean, everyone was a villain,
Yeah.
technically, at least to begin with. Um,
Anti-hero slash villain,
yeah.
yeah.
And you didn't really see him as an anti-hero in that movie because of the direction of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, and they just kind of really just represented him as like this brainless
Killer.
do whatever Amanda Waller says killer.
Yeah.
um and he's brainless in more than one way. He is kind of dumb. That's
Yes.
kind of one of the things they really wanted to push for his character. um but yeah, so he went from that to getting his show and learning things about his family. He never really saw the racism that
Yeah.
was his dad. His eyes were opened by his new friends,
Yes.
which they never intended on being his friends. They were more or less his babysitters,
Yes.
trying to keep him out of trouble in that first season. And then by the end, they're all friends. They're the 11th Street kids.
11th Street Kid.
They developed a bond that kind of pushes um, where they go in this season.
Yeah.
And with that being said, starting off this season, he's very depressed. I think they all are. They're all depressed in their own little ways.
Yeah.
Um,
Except for
Economos,
except for
yeah,
maybe a friggin' vigilante. He doesn't seem like he's
yes.
ever depressed.
Yeah, Adrian, I don't think depression is something he even understands the concept of. Uh, but yeah, he first of all, I do like what they did with him in this
Yes.
season. A lot of it is kind of off screen and him dealing with the things that he says around people.
Yeah.
Um, but that being said, uh, each character kind of has their own thing. Economos is the only one that still has his job. Harcourt got outed when they removed Amanda Waller from her
Yeah.
position, and she was blacklisted by all the intelligence agencies, so she
Well,
can no longer.
I believe that's mainly because she went against Amanda Waller, I believe. I think she was
Yeah, and it
one of
was
the
Amanda Waller's kind of last little dig was, processing that paperwork
yeah,
against her. Her daughter, Abidayo, she now does her own security consulting firm. Um,
which isn't
and
doing very well, even though she
no,
just started it.
yeah. Then you also have John Cena, who is not allowed to be doing anything. Like he has just been somewhat under house arrest. Um,
Yeah, and there's
and
a lot
under
going on
surveillance.
there. Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah,
going on there with him. He's got, you know, the fact that he can't do much, the fact that, he killed his father and he's still dealing with the grief of killing his brother at a young age. Also, there's something going on between him and Hardcore. Really, we don't know about towards the last episode, really what went down fully, or at least the closure of it by the end of the
right.
last episode. So he's been having this dangle all over his head and he just wants answers and he doesn't necessarily get them. One, because he's he kind of doesn't know how to go about it. And then finally, when he does go about it, he's not directly given the answer that he wants because, feelings are feelings, and some people don't want to face those feelings.
Right. And it's nice to see that he is not just dealing with emotions that he used to think were just something he wasn't supposed to deal with, but also learning that other people can or cannot deal with certain things, or they deal with certain things differently.
Yes.
Um, which when you look at him as a character, you kind of have to look at him like a child
Yeah.
because developmentally he's kind
Yeah.
of only there. He's a 12-year-old kid at heart.
Yeah. And it
Uh,
probably has to do with how his father kind of treated him when he was younger. His
oh, for sure.
father, first of all, his father was racist, and which is a funny twist because later on in the season, he's complete opposite.
So that being the breakdown of the first season and leading into this season, we have Peacemaker kind of just staring into the empty void that is the pocket dimension, and that we see is setting off major radiation signals that Argus is
Monitoring,
monitoring,
which is
and that's kind of what sets the whole season in motion,
yeah,
is just that door
which
being open.
which really the reason why it's kind of the whole crux of the whole season has to deal with the aftermath of Lex Luthor in the Superman movie opening up a pocket dimension and tears Metropolis pretty much in half, and Argus doesn't want that to happen again because they need to, protect the world. They don't want superheroes to do it, so they feel they have to. And
Yeah, and I've kind of noticed a couple of things. Like they keep talking about all the people that they're going to be sending there are all
yeah,
metahuman,
yeah.
and I don't think very many of them really are. I mean, if you look at the comics, which we briefly did take a look at,
Mhm.
um, they s- set a whole new world coming up. But the idea, just so that everyone has a sense of where we're heading here, since it's the grand reveal at the end of the season, spoilers,
Hmm.
um, is that this is all about creating a prison so that they can set up where we're going next in the DC universe. And this prison is just an entire planet where they plan to throw metahumans. But the problem with it is that the first person they throw there isn't a metahuman, and we know Lex Luthor also isn't a metahuman.
Mhm.
Um, so these are people that, as far as we could tell, are going to be sent there, just based on the fact that they are readily available in the DCU and are clearly major parts of the story. And even the Joker isn't really a metahuman if they choose to go the comic route.
I mean, when we get a little bit further in this, we can talk about that more because I feel like there's a lot to kind of unpack with that because I don't know. There's several different ways they could go with that whole ending, and
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that they push this whole thing leading to this ending, talking about this is a place for metahumans, and are we just to believe that, or are we going to
mm,
learn it's a lie? Or, we'll
well,
we'll discuss
yeah.
this getting there, but who are the real threats here? Because when you do look at the comic version of what happens, um, the leaders are the humans, the non-meta enhanced peoples.
Yeah, it it raises a lot of questions. James
Yeah,
Gunn said that the ending of the show is gonna be heavily influencing the rest of I guess maybe I don't know if DC is doing phases, but it's gonna influence a lot of where the DCU is gonna be going in the near future.
yeah, and it's not just movies; it will be more TV shows.
Yes.
Um, how they're going to mix certain things, we still don't know where Batman really stands, and
Yeah.
nothing like 100% official on Batman and the Penguin show. Gotham has been strictly untouched.
Yeah.
so far in the DCU.
Yeah, because as of right now, Matt Reeves' Batman and Penguin are in their own separate universe as of right now, but who knows? I
Yeah,
prefer
you
that
watch
they
that change.
I
Yeah,
I prefer that they keep it that way. Just Batman
I
himself,
agree.
he can just have
Yeah.
his whole thing and not have to deal with anybody else. Like, it just bring in a new Batman, make him separate, and call it a day.
Yeah, so from there, we have Chris being depressed. He's having
Yeah.
parties, he's getting drunk. In a drunk stupor, he does kind of take Eagly into the pocket dimension so that Eagly can kind of fly around. He does find another door where he sees a whole bunch of Peacemaker masks all lined up. He sees the doors just like his. He hits the buttons and plugs in his code, and it works. He steps in, and it's a whole different world than his in the sense that, he's not in this beat up old house. He's in this really nice place. And was it his dad? His dad he sees first, right?
I can't remember. I'm not sure if it's his dad or it's his brother. I
Yeah.
f
Either way, he sees one of them that leads him into seeing both of them.
Yes.
And obviously, he's shocked, A, that his dad was still alive, being that he killed him
Yeah.
previously. And then B, his brother was even alive. That was someone who he wouldn't have probably even been able to recognize if it wasn't, because he hadn't seen his brother since how old were they? Like
They were
10?
like 10, 11, something like that.
Yeah. Uh,
So,
so he had previously killed his brother, he had killed his father, and now there they are, happy to see him, and he takes it in,
yeah,
without really considering, the peacemaker of that world.
yeah,
He could have showed up at any time. He doesn't, thankfully for him anyway. Um, and then he goes kind of back and forth. He does run into himself though early on, and his other self doesn't see kindly to intruders, and they get into a big fight. Honestly, our Peacemaker, we'll say Peacemaker 1 for the sake of
yeah.
this, um, he doesn't necessarily want to fight. He doesn't necessarily want to kill
He
the
just
other
wants to
Peacemaker.
explain what's going on,
Yeah,
really.
and the other Peacemaker does not give a crap. He's looking to kill. So, in self-defense, he does kill himself.
Yeah, on
Uh,
accident.
yeah, Peacemaker 1 accidentally kills Peacemaker 2. Um, and that kind of sets everything up. We learn that Peacemaker 2 is kind of a piece of crap.
Yes.
Uh, and he was dating Harcourt, someone who he has an attachment to but can't have in his world. His father and his brother are back, again, things he doesn't have, that are just living in this world, and now unbeknownst to them, they no longer have a Peacemaker, and he
Yeah,
feels that he can just kind of fit right in, and he
yeah,
does. He reaches out to Harcourt, finds out that his other self had been cheating on her,
yeah,
and asks to give it another shot. And then he's like, you know what? I have some loose ends to tie up. I will be back. He wants to kind of tie up loose ends in our world, see if it's even worth going back.
yeah. Because
Uh,
it's not
and
necessarily that he wants to leave this world. I mean, if things work out the way he kinda hopes they would in the other world here, at least with Harcourt as far as she's concerned,
you're right.
he's kinda willing to stay. But Harcourt, being the toughest cookies badass that she is, she's not as in tune with her emotions as the one in Peacemaker Two's world.
Yeah, she's in Peacemaker Two's world, she's very feminine,
Yeah, which is
where she's
weird.
she's a lot more masculine in what
Yes.
we assume is our world.
Yes, and in the aftermath of him killing himself, he goes to see Adrian, his quote unquote best friend, which Chris he's not very really nice to Adrian. He sees Adrian as annoying, but he keeps him around just kind of because he just hangs around and he doesn't know how to tell him to leave him the hell alone.
Right.
But he's the only one that he can really depend on because
He does
He
whatever Peacemaker says,
Maker wants
so
him to do, and for the most part, he can keep a secret. Even though Adrian is a little bit crazy, which is shown in the show that he's if you thought he was over the top before, he's even more over the top in this one,
yeah.
which is great. This show, I will say, is very good at hitting all the senses. You know, it's good at being a good drama, a good action show, a good comedy. It's got a little bit of everything you need.
Yeah, and I feel like this season had a little more depth to it too,
Yeah, like
which really takes you aback because, we went from this kind of dumb, stuttering, nobody really cares about anti-hero slash villain to someone who's a lot more nuanced, a lot more um, entertaining to watch. Like you want to see what he does next. You want to see how it impacts him or his friends. Like you really get invested. Whereas I don't know about you, but I didn't really care for his character too much before the show started.
no, I thought in the Suicide Squad 2 movie, thought he was like a throwaway character. I didn't expect much from him. I mean, it's a wrestler turned actor. Usually, you know, they don't get a lot of good work when it comes to movies. They'll get work, but they don't get any real memorable roles. I mean, you're lucky if you do. I mean, The Rock, I would say he's the kind of poster boy for that at the moment.
Hulk Hogan kind of set the ground
Yeah,
for it.
he did, but really
He
what
didn't
very
take off,
memorable
that's for sure. Yeah,
yeah, what very memorable movies do you know him in other than Suburban Commando?
he's
Come on.
Suburban Commando.
I mean, that was to me, that was like his biggest movie where the kids in the '90s were like, "Okay, Hulk Hogan." I mean, and I love Hulk Hogan, rest in peace, but
Yeah,
as
Christopher
far as
Lloyd.
yeah, as far as acting skills go, I will say that The Rock is decent. He's not the best, but I also put John Cena up there. Actually, at this point, as John Cena has matured in you know, the media, I think he's got a little bit more to give than The Rock does.
I agree.
Especially
I agree.
especially with the past couple things I've seen him in. This one here, like Peacemaker season 2, like they hit you in the feels by the end of it. James Gunn, I think he did a really good job writing this. I know we're not gonna get a season 3, but we might get a checkmate show. Checkmate I don't think we'll get a movie, but maybe we'll get like a checkmate show or something where maybe they try and find Chris or take on tasks or something
Or
or
it
other.
might even be a subplot slowly throughout other movies. I hope it
It
isn't because
probably
I'd like to
will.
get yeah, I wanna get immediate, answers, not, "Oh, what" you know, get like a scene in this movie, scene in that movie, slowly build the pieces together.
The peacemakers together.
Yeah.
But going back to the show anyway, sorry for the sidetracking, it just happens here at the podcast, but Chris has Adrian help him. Abadayo basically tells Chris, "You gotta stop using that door as much because,
You're
Rick
being
Flag."
monitored.
Yeah, Rick Flag Sr., he has it out for you. You killed his son. They're watching you. And for the most part, I don't think, Chris really cares too much.
Well,
He
I
does,
think in
but
his head at that point, he's like, "Well, I'm only gonna use it one more time, and you'll never see me again."
yeah. Yeah, especially if Harcourt doesn't say anything that is to his liking. And the thing is, he's gonna go to where he fits in the most.
But yeah, so getting into the story of this season, we have obviously a few subplots, and we're not going to go episode by episode here. We're just going to get into the subplots themselves.
Yeah.
Um, we have Chris obviously absolutely loving this other world. Everyone's so nice to him. He has much better gadgets, helmets. He has his bike, his
He
super
has his
cool.
family.
Yeah, he has his family. He has a girl of his dreams. Everything seems to be perfect. And he doesn't even look at the warnings, the red flags that are all over the place.
And really,
Um,
you don't as the viewer see him either, really, until they're
well, that's
pointed out to
because
you.
of camera focus. They
Yeah.
specifically were hiding things. So it's
Yeah.
not
I
like
mean,
we could have spotted it.
they put
Yeah.
things everywhere where you can see it, but they're just
Which,
really you're
it at the very least gives you a sense of unease.
yeah.
Something's
Yeah,
off.
it's too clean. It seems like Chris and his family are the only superheroes here, which is kind of funny because it kind of coincides with almost what Rick Flag
Was
Senior
trying to do.
trying to
Yeah.
do, and Lex Luthor for the most part. So, this would be the perfect world for them.
Yeah, exactly. And as we learn what he is doing, the 11th Street kids, the other side of it, everyone outside of John Cena's character, are learning what he did or what he's doing and decide to go after him. Despite the fact that for some of them it will cost them jobs. Um, or opportunities, but they do it anyway. And you learn from how they react to him, how they feel about him, and you look kind of learn like all of this is because of how he is, and how he has helped them either through the previous season or things they're going through now, and they all respect him. It's just something that he doesn't see. He
Yeah.
doesn't he's the type of person that needs to be told something, you have to say you love someone, otherwise it's not true. But that's
Yeah.
not the case. Life is beyond that. Um, but yeah, so he runs off and they chase him.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they kind of expose the truth about him. And we do have some really cool scenes, in the other world where we learned that there's what the Sons of Liberty is this terrorist organization um, that are going around and um, blowing up like public buildings. There's
Yeah.
quite a bit of gore happening during those episodes, which was very nice,
Yeah.
fun to see.
James
Um,
Gunn at his finest.
Yeah, the action, you couldn't have asked for more. It was very Peacemaker-esque.
Mhm.
Everything fit and was enjoyable. You're hooked on every real scene that they're doing like that. Um, and I kind of feel like the other worlds were more or less made to give you something to talk about.
Yeah.
He can't exactly go on a killing spree like he did in our world, the
Yeah.
main world. So this was also a chance for them as a studio to be like, "Hey, look what we can do without
Yeah.
consequences."
And the thing that's kinda cool about that whole scene too is, it seemed like that version of Harcourt was even, like, surprised that he went in without his gear and everything. He just went in as a man and took them
Yeah,
all down, and which maybe in her eyes made him seem even more like badass. 'Cause she's like, "I love
right,
this man, but now I really love this man."
right. Um, but yeah, so uh, with him going through all of that, the friends show up, and the I don't want to say big mistake, since they didn't know the world was the way it is, was letting Abs go for a walk.
Which they didn't know, but luckily, we had Judo Master around to save her life and,
Yes,
kill everybody in the pool by shocking them to death. It was very
because
shocking.
yeah. What we learn is that, well, it's actually extra ironic because she tased the crap out of him in
Yeah,
season one.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, what we learn from Judo Master is that the Nazis won World War II,
mhm.
and they were living in a world without color.
Yes.
Everyone is white, everyone's a Nazi, everyone lives by the regime.
Well,
And
let's take it back. Not everybody is a Nazi, which they try
no,
to.
that is true.
Yes.
Um,
There's a
But when you're
resistance.
born into a world where everyone's a Nazi, you may not, it's not necessarily a group anymore.
Yeah,
It's the people.
yeah,
It's the government.
yeah,
So, yeah, I don't even think the term Nazis, like even in that world, is more of a historical thing. They
yeah,
don't see themselves as Nazis. They see themselves as a utopia at that
yeah.
point. But yeah, so that being said, we have kind of a couple of things happening all at once. Harcourt gets caught in a lie and ends up being forced to go to Argus and then gets arrested. or at least pulled aside for having drugs all over her.
Yeah.
You have Abs running for her life and then ends up with Judo Master, and John Economos ends up getting captured by Peacemaker's father. And he very easily gives up information.
Which is so, I mean, for me, that was the most annoying part of it. It's like, really, dude? Really? If he's anything like his other self, which you don't know, he could probably kill you an instant after you said that. So what's the point?
Right.
So that
But then there's
that was
one
annoying.
other person, there's Vigilante, who
Mhm.
runs off to find the other
Himself.
Vigilante, kind of with the hopes that he can kill him. He does say initially he wants to go kill his other universe self. But when he runs into his other universe self, and this is one of my favorite things about this scene, is when they do the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
So they're agreeing on a ton of stuff. Like, it's so funny how he is the one that next to nothing has changed. And
Yeah.
the only thing that has changed for him is Peacemaker. And
Yeah.
that's really just comes down to because of the world and the Nazism.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so they instantly become best friends, the two vigilantes. Um, and it it is very entertaining, but I love the whole Spider-Man meme thing because that means in this DCU, Marvel comics
Yeah.
exist.
Which we can talk about that a little bit later. Because I do know, I think James Gunn brought up in one of the Guardians movies DC at some
Superman.
point. Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that. I don't
I
remember.
think he mentioned Superman. I mean, he mentions Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
That's IDW at this point.
Yeah, Cowabunga dude, Nickelodeon. But, we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a few minutes. Um, but yeah, it all comes to a head when, Peacemaker's father and brother show up because Peacemaker ends up getting Harcourt out of Argus, also realizing that, yeah, they're Nazis because he looks at the flag, sees the swastika on the flag, and it's not the stars and stripes. It's the Nazi swastika and stripes, along with every desk there at Argus has a copy of Mein Kampf on it, which,
Yep.
Chris doesn't read, so why would he even bother looking? And the other thing that was kind of funny there is that we did get to see Rick Flag Jr. alive and well in this universe, although he is a wimp, which kind of funny because he's the complete
Very
opposite
nerdy.
of, yeah,
Yeah.
the opposite as he was in the Suicide Squad movies, which I didn't think they were going to bring him back. And when I saw him, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I was hoping for some more of him, especially in the last two episodes there, but it is what it is. They probably couldn't afford to have him in it for that much
Well,
longer.
it's kind of a guest role kind of thing. They did the same thing with Lex Luthor, having him from the movie for one episode.
Yeah.
They do have his tech guy though for a
Yeah.
couple of episodes
Yeah. Well, no, I think Lex
from the
Luthor was
movie.
in 2 episodes, 'cause I think he goes and sees him twice, I think.
No, he sees him once. He sees him just visiting initially and suggests the idea of working with them. They kind of
Yeah.
negotiate. After that, you hear the communications between the two through folders being swapped out. That being said, we have them destroying this Nazi world between killing a ton of cops and then getting into a fight when it is revealed that Chris is not the peacemaker of that world, but had killed the peacemaker of that world, which sets his brother into a rage. His father, however, is the voice of reason in the room.
Yeah. Which you wouldn't
Uh,
think at all.
right, exactly. He is the complete opposite of his other self, which is what Chris Smith, Peacemaker, is so attached to. He loves this new dad version of
Yeah.
his dad. He respects him, doesn't want to fight at all, completely surrenders immediately, um, and tries to talk it out. And he
Yeah.
does for the most part.
Yeah.
Until Vigilante jumps in through the window and starts stabbing his dad to death.
Or rather vigilantes. The
Yeah, yeah.
vigilantes.
Yes.
we call that here vigilante justice.
Yes, we do.
But, I mean, it
Uh,
was going so good because he was having kind of a heart to heart with his dad, and his brother was the one who was against it. Chris's father was trying to get Peacemaker's brother to, like, "Listen, he doesn't have what we have here. Let's just hear him out. Yes, I know." He's like, "But he killed our Chris." He's like, "Yeah, but he was kind of an asshole." So even
yeah.
the father even knew, like, this might be a better opportunity for us to be a family.
Yeah,
But
if they say that, the whole the universe out there with your evil twin, I feel like this is one of those, switched ideals, right? You have the dad is suddenly the good one in this world, but then because Chris is good in our world, he's quite the a-hole in the other.
yeah.
Which is funny because he can be still be a quite the a-hole.
The brother starts trying to kill Chris. All his friends show how much they really care about Chris because they all go and try and stop him while the police barge in. The vigilantes at this time are taking care of the cops, trying to hold them off. They're trying to get Chris to the door. Vigilante ends up shutting the door. We're back in Peacemaker One's world, and Argus is outside. Peacemaker hands over the interdimensional door device, and they're all kind of let go. But it doesn't end as well as we think it does it, Chris?
No, not at all. So Peacemaker gets arrested, um, and he gets interrogated. They do plan to kill him. However, Economos is peer pressured into writing an arrest record, forcing them to release Peacemaker now that there is a record of where he is. And as a result, he goes into the system, he goes to jail, and he wants to stay there. He believes that he is cursed. He believes that everything he touches falls apart, dies. He killed his dad. He claims he killed his dad again, even though we know it wasn't really him. And of course, his brother for the second time as well. Um, and just ruined just about everyone's life in this other Nazi world. Um, but that's not the point. The point is that he feels like he's let everyone down and he
Especially
will
himself.
continue to do so. He wants to stay in jail. They end up bailing him out with the dirty blood money that is
Rich
stashed
Argus.
away in Adrian's basement, along with the tons of cocaine
Yes.
and other drugs, I'm sure. Uh, and so yeah, they bail him out. He decides to go off grid and just wants to leave. They chase him down and convince him, no, we did this for you. You do this for us. Let's, just stick together. Let's work our way through this. However, on the flip side, we have everything that's going on in Argus. While all of this is taking place, they are going through the doors. They are trying to figure out, well, they claim they're trying to find a world like ours. That's it.
Yes. They don't tell us
That's
why.
Yeah, we're just looking for a world like ours. So they're like, okay, sure. But people are dying. People are dying some gruesome deaths, being killed by candy imps or zombies.
Black holes,
Yeah, there was all kinds of crazy stuff that they kept
weird
running
skull
into.
things, and that they open the door and they're like, "Nope, let's just
Giant
close the door."
spider skull things,
Yeah.
yeah, screaming into the sky. Um,
Just a
yeah,
lot
so
of horrible crap.
yeah, exactly. And it was just one thing where, the team is doing this, looking for this, I guess, perfect world, and are watching their friends just die one by one. Thank God for Big Titties for saving Harcourt. And yeah, I'm not just saying that to be mean. That is her name in
Yes,
the movie. Her
yes,
nickname is Big Titties. Yes, she is well endowed in that sense.
yes. It
And
it is
she
just
is named that by Fleury, one of the new cast. He was one that works for uh, Rick Flag Senior.
yes.
And you do like, oh, at first I didn't really like him,
Me
like his
neither.
character. He was a bit of a dick. Um, but the more you see him and he unravels, despite his bird blindness,
Yes,
he
bird blind.
turns out to be a very nice guy. He does confuse eagerly for a giant duck, at one point.
Pigeon, I
Very
think, too,
yeah,
also was a
yeah.
pigeon.
He's like, "This is so unfair. Why am I in charge? I don't see birds."
I will say
uh,
Tim Meadows did an excellent job in this show.
yes,
He
he
made
did.
me laugh constantly.
Yeah, and every time you saw him, you knew that he was going to say something off the wall.
Yeah.
Um, and it was very nice to see him join the 11th Street Kids by
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah, join
Uh,
Checkmate.
yeah. So yeah, so they do when they do convince Chris to stay, they create their own agency and say screw
Argus.
Argus. But by that point, Argus has found their planet, their salvation. It almost looks just like our planet.
Yeah.
Um, until the very end. So after they set up Checkmate, their new company, uh, with again Adrian's blood money, they're very happy. That everyone's all set. Everyone's about to get started into this new role, and out of nowhere, Chris gets kidnapped, and then he gets forced into the dimensional door
By Rick Flag
onto
Sr.
yep by Rick Flag Sr. And he's on this planet Salvation by himself. Learns that he accidentally signed a release that he volunteered to be the human test subject for life on this extraterrestrial plane.
Yeah.
Um, so as a result, he by the very end gets forced and exiled onto this planet on a, for what we're assuming, different dimension.
Yes. And there's a couple things with this that I want to touch on anyway before we get into this. Is that one of the major arcs with Chris in this, which we didn't really touch on, was we did a little bit, but was really him and Harcourt more so the one in his world where she's more of a hard ass. He's you know he's kind of the softie.
Reasonable.
He's
Yeah.
still a hard ass, but not like his Earth 2 counterpart. But he and her had, went out kind of on a date. Not really a date, but they just went and hung out. And they went to this rock cruise, and she wasn't really into it, but he convinced her, and then she started to like it. And then, a few drinks later, a little dancing, and then they kiss, and it totally just messes with her because of a lot of things. She was messing around with, Rick Flag Jr. at one point, which, Chris killed. Um, she professionally working with Chris. She's not ready, it doesn't seem like, to be in that kind of relationship again with somebody that she works with.
Yeah.
But you can tell she does care about him. And by the end of it, you know, Chris has been frustrated. He's been going throughout the whole series trying to get an answer from her because he just wants to know yes or no and he can move on. For him earlier, it was just for him to move on and go to the other dimension and be with her anyway. But for him, he just wanted closure. And if it wasn't what he wanted, then he would just probably have to move on with somebody else. Who knows? Hopefully, not anything creepy. But
Right.
but by the end of the show, he gets his answer because we do see what happened. We get the flashback, and by the end of it, she says, "Yeah, it meant everything to her." So we know that she has feelings for him, deep feelings at this point. And the other thing is too, by the end of it, like I was saying before, this show made you feel all the emotions. And this show had a lot of character development for Chris because he started off season one in Suicide Squad movies as more or less a one dimensional character. By the end of this, you see that he's more than that, and you also see that he's more than that with his friends, his colleagues, his coworkers. Because of him, they feel more, wanted and loved as people. Because Chris
Right.
sees them as people. He doesn't see them as, black or white or whatever that ethnicity is or whatever they like or don't like. He doesn't see them like that. He just sees them as who they are as people.
Except Adrian.
Except Adrian. I mean, even by the end, he tolerates Adrian a little bit better, but still, I
Yeah.
mean, the dynamic wouldn't be the same if they changed that dynamic. It
Right.
wouldn't work. So, I mean, it's gonna be a little less probably when we see them together again, but Adrian is more like the annoying little brother to him. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of like his role. But by the end, you see how much Chris has brought out of all these other people in his life, and it's very touching, and it makes you take a step back and think of, you know, how each one of us as people affect other people in our own lives. And just take a second to think that maybe you're more to somebody out there than what you might think you are. Continuing, I want to touch on a few things here before we end. A couple of questions that have gone unanswered, a couple of hypothesis and other things that might be fun. And I want to start with alternate dimensions. Okay,
Yes.
so
So there was a cameo that didn't happen.
yes.
Uh, James Gunn was a bit public with this. He had mentioned in a couple of interviews that he initially had Ryan Reynolds reach out to him. Ryan Reynolds reached out to him initially to congratulate him on taking over the DC reboot.
Yeah.
Um, and then as a result, he responded back as a joke, "Hey, so you want to come back as Green Lantern?" And
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds famously responded, "Fuck you." um, but yeah, there was, I guess, talks of him coming in as Deadpool, a quick little crossover. I mean, the crossovers have happened in the comics in the past. This is
Yeah.
nothing new.
And,
Uh,
crossovers are about to happen again, or really they already happened with, I believe, Batman and Deadpool recently coming out and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it can happen. It can happen. DC, Marvel, make it happen. Just
yeah. I mean, it's fun to speculate where they would have been. It feels most likely in the pocket dimension,
yeah.
because it's just filled with doors. And
Yep.
what was Deadpool 3 famous for? All the doors popping up wherever.
Yeah, just
So,
have a TVA door pop up in there. He just kinda walks in and be like, "What the heck now? Forget this place." Or I thought it would be even funnier, because you and I talked about this. I thought it would be funnier if the vigilante in, Peacemaker 2's world was actually Deadpool. I think that would have been hilarious.
yeah,
Just because
yeah,
they both kind of are the same character, if you think about it. Oh, not really
yeah,
the same, but just more hyper. They have the hyper level.
right,
Vigilante doesn't really, like, wall break,
right. But yeah, he's still hyper violent, doesn't really have a sense of
caring.
caring to anything. Um, and they're both very socially awkward.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot that they are very this and that, carefree for one. Um, but yeah, it would have been interesting for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there would have been cheesier and funnier ways that they would have eventually put him in. It would have had to have been non-impactful. That
Yeah.
is for sure.
Yeah, so more than
Unless
likely, it would
Yeah,
have
unless they
been
were planning on doing a crossover in a bigger movie anytime soon, we would have heard about it by now.
yeah.
But if they were to do that, then maybe it would have been bigger. The fact that it was cut completely from what they were writing leads me to believe it just wasn't important to
Yeah.
Marvel, period.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just probably gonna be like we said, maybe TVA door opens up in there and that's it. Just maybe we just see the apartment in maybe just Ryan Reynolds just being there, in his
Right.
Deadpool apartment and nothing else. Maybe it would have been funny if he answered the door holding a dog pool. I
Yeah.
think that would have
Yeah.
been funny.
I feel like it would have been funnier, or it would fit perfectly if he answered the door, 0 pants on, like we've seen him before,
Mhm.
with his Deadpool shirt, like just top half,
Yeah.
but no mask, so you
Yeah.
could see Ryan Reynolds. I feel like that would have been hilarious. Or even better is if he, had his, uh, baby legs and baby penis hanging out.
Like, "What the hell happened?"
Yeah. Oh, this again. He's regrowing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, there's tons of ways they could have done it. The fact that the interdimensional travel in Um, I mean, even it would have been just as funny if he ran into Guy Gardner as the Green Lantern
Yeah, that
and
would be funny.
looked at him and was like, "Wow, it's really weird to say this with your haircut, but you're way cooler than the other Green Lantern I know."
But then the other part to go with that is because we're dealing with multiverses here. Obviously, like I talked about at the beginning, this Chris is not the same Chris from the DCEU Suicide Squad movies. Like I said, it's tweaked a bit.
Yeah,
So that means we do know that there's a third Peacemaker out there, one that's still alive, but in this universe, the original universe.
right,
Because I was assuming that the one that he was going to kill was going to be that DCU one, and I figured he was gonna take his place, and then the show would continue from there. But no, it was completely different. It just turned out to be a Nazi utopia and nothing else. Although I would have hoped that they would have maybe shown the other Peacemaker universe and just maybe made a sly joke to be like, that we don't want to go to that one.
right. So another thing that's kind of worth mentioning, before we close up shop here, we
Hmm.
mentioned that Superman is the first movie of this new universe, but that's not entirely true because it has been made known that Blue Beetle is 100% canon for this universe. So, in a sense, that was the first.
Yeah. I mean, technically, the first show was Creature Commandos, which also had Rick Flag Sr. in it. So I mean, technically, we don't really know where Blue Beetle will fall. Like even James Gunn said, it fits perfectly, but he would have to do a little some tweaks to it. So my guess is because it didn't show any of like Superman or Batman or anything like that. Just they talked about them. It could fit
Right.
anywhere. I mean, Superman
Yeah.
at the point of the movie was around for I think, you know, 30 years. Well, Clark Kent was around for like 30 some years or something like that. I believe that's how it was.
Right.
I could be wrong. It's been a while since I saw that movie, but for sure Superman has been active at least for 3. So in that time, maybe Blue Beetle's heard of him or whatever. And
Well,
then
we also
Batman.
have to remember there was a Blue Beetle before him. That was
That's
kind of
true.
part of the premise of the
The movie.
thing. So, Blue Beetle, the previous Blue Beetle, was a bit of a legend.
Yeah. And also, which could go with that because, like we said, like 30 years prior, there's been metahumans around and stuff like that. And Batman's been around. He was kind of seen in Creature Commandos, just kind of like a silhouette. So we still don't know who's playing him yet, which will be interesting because anybody who plays Batman gets kind of more scrutiny than someone who plays Superman. Because let's face it, folks, Superman is the first superhero, really, and he's a legend, but Batman is just a better character and a better hero. I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, look at how many people have played Batman over Superman. So,
Right.
uh, Batman is whoever's going to play him has big shoes to fill, and I hope they cast him right. But going into, I guess, the chronology of what we have, if we want to go as when things came out, we could even say the Suicide Squad movies are canon somewhat. So it would be what Suicide Squad, then the Suicide Squad, then I mean would even probably mean Birds of Prey at some point, maybe? Nah, probably not. Oh, was it
I have heard rumors, and I don't know. I mean, obviously, again, this is a rumor, so nothing
Mhm.
confirmed here. That the CW Flash movie or movie show, um, the Flash, what was his name?
Grant Gustin?
Yeah, Grant Gustin has been interviewed for roles in this DCU. Obviously, people are initially going, "Oh, he's going to play the Flash." That only makes sense, and it's quite possible he does. Um, it's also quite possible they'll have multiple Flashes if they do tend to
Yeah.
use the multiverse. So it's not a guarantee it will be one thing or another. But if they are going to go that CW route, obviously the CW show will not be directly canon. It will
Yeah.
likely be a different universe of some kind. Um, but, it also begs the question, oh, are we going to have Green Arrow? Um, I mean, obviously, CW has its whole universe behind it. They have the Teen Titan, although the Batman used for Teen Titan is Ian Glenn,
Yes.
and well, he just plays Bruce Wayne, kind of a
Yeah.
weathered, uh,
Batman.
very tormented Batman, which he would be perfect if they were to choose to go that route, the older Batman route, and maybe do a Batman Beyond situation.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the Batman in this is gonna be a little bit older because we're already gonna have Damian around. They already confirmed it. So this
Okay.
Batman has been around. We already know it, just like Superman's been around. But Batman's probably gonna be casted as somebody in their late 30s, probably early 40s. I mean, the character will probably be that age, but the actor might be younger because they want to keep him around. Just make
Right.
him look older, I guess. I don't know. But I feel like whoever they get to do that, you got first of all, also you're also competing with Batterson. His Batman is gonna be completely different. His is more of a mash of Burton Batman and Nolan Batman, which makes it great.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
I am interested to see how this new Batman does in the DCU. I hope they do better than Ben Affleck because I wasn't really a fan of him until actually the Flash movie,
Yeah.
which is funny enough.
Yeah,
But
especially since we got a few Batmen.
mhm,
We had um,
Michael Keaton,
Michael Keaton come back. We also had George
George
Clooney come
Clooney.
back. Yeah, it
It
was interesting.
like I said before, we have chronology here. As far as right now, we can assume that you know Suicide Squad and Suicide Squad alternate versions of them took place. Then we have Blue Beetle, and then we would have Creature Commandos.
And
Then I mean,
Superman.
I guess even before that, we would have Peacemaker season 1, then Creature Commandos,
Right.
then Superman, then Peacemaker 2 season 2, and then we have Supergirl coming out, I think, next year. As far as I know, they have a Clayface movie they're working on, whether that's gonna be in this universe or if it's gonna be in the Batterson universe. I think it would probably work better in the Batterson universe just to kind of have it more realistic, not have him, like, be a guy who has clay on his face, but more of a guy that, is a mask maker, make it more like a grotesque kind of
Makes
bot
masks out of clay kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, kind of darker, like, it would work for there. It would be kind of like a horror-esque kind of movie, and Batterson
Right.
could be a part in it. It'd be interesting. I like that
I like that
pitch.
idea too.
Yeah, but if it's in, this DCU, I'm interested to see how that works.
Yeah, they
But
might make him straight from the cartoon, like a full on. I mean, James Gunn's been very good at taking ridiculous characters and turning it around.
I mean, Clayface was already in Creature Commandos, and he was the one that we know of kinda like the mud monster
Right.
that could shapeshift. So, if he's gonna be in I mean, he will be back in the DCU, so this could be that same one, or it could be the one we just discussed for the Batterson. I would prefer the Batterson one to be the movie that they're working on because I think that would be just cool.
Yeah,
And
but you don't get to choose.
no, I don't. I don't work for them. I don't work for James Gunn yet. Uh, but But then we have the next movie coming out after that, I believe is gonna be Superman 2 unless Batman was it, the Bat Family movie comes out before that, I'm not certain.
Right. That there was talks about having Batgirl, and people are debating what version of Batgirl we're going to see. So we'll see. I mean, that is pushing further out ahead than
Yeah,
what we can. There will be plenty of groundbreaking news between then, I am sure.
yeah. So, this is a review, Chris. We didn't even
We
say
got it.
what we thought
Yeah.
of it. Come on, what are we doing, people?
I mean, I
So
think I think people got the idea that we absolutely did enjoy this.
yes. I
But
didn't
yes,
even
let's
think of a number. What I wanna hear yours before I say mine, because what is yours?
So I initially gave it a 9, and I gave
Mhm.
it a 9 for a couple of reasons. One, it averted a lot of expectations. I wasn't sure where they were going to go with this. And while some of it was relatively predictable, it was going in a direction that, it couldn't have gone any other direction, and it was all for the good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the way that they, every character had a motivation and a reason that made sense. It wasn't just, hey, we want to throw this character in, throw them in with one line of dialogue explaining why they're there.
Yeah.
Everything was well thought out. The dialogue was realistic. People were saying things that people say. There's nothing worse than having dialogue where, they just Star Wars it.
Yeah. I
It's,
agree.
things people absolutely would not say in real life. Because that just kills it for you. It kills the mood. And I mean, obviously the CG is on par. The
Yep.
violence was beautiful. The action was fantastic. Everything was keeping you on your toes.
Yeah, the drama
Uh,
was great.
yeah, the drama was fantastic. There was a lot of things, like I said, averted expectations you just didn't see coming. You expected one thing, and then something completely left field came. So yeah, I think it was a well deserved nine,
Yes.
especially seeing the evolution of uh, just
Chris.
John Cena's
Oh, yeah.
performance.
Yeah, John Cena himself. Yeah, let's not forget about that. He's acting and he's doing great.
Yeah,
Like, bravo, John. He even said in an interview he went in for this role, didn't expect much, and James Gunn gave him a chance, and he's not living it down. He's gonna keep doing it. So, you know, thank you, James Gunn. I mean, he is also a person who knows about second chances. So, bravo to you, sir.
right.
Bravo, John Cena. And I'm right there with you. I didn't think about what grade I would have given it until right before I said it. I was set on 9. When you said you thought 9, I'm like, oh, he's gonna give it an 8, and you're like, no, 9. I'm like, all right, yeah, this is a solid 9. It has room to grow. 9 out of 10. 9 from Nate, 9 from Chris. Um, One thing we did forget to mention is Michael Roker's character. That was what for
Yeah,
the thing is that for me, he was my least favorite part of the show.
he
Like, I
was.
liked him, but he was annoying, and
Yeah.
that's what also brought it down for me. I was just like, I felt like he could have been utilized so much better.
However, it did give us one key piece of lore that is fantastic, and that is that Eagly is a
He's the
god.
prime eagle. He's the prime eagle. The prime eagle. Some people don't know, but, some of us don't suffer from bird blindness, but definitely Michael Roker's character does now. He did. So with that, we're done here. I mean, we finished the episode. The review's done. I think we've done 12 episodes of the podcast.
Yeah, this is number 12.
So normally back in the day, seasons would roll like 12 to 24 episodes. Now we don't get that anymore. Now we're lucky if we get 10 episodes. Sometimes we get 8. James Gunn. Um, but no, I'm happy that we've done this for 12 episodes. We did it just to try it out, and we're having a blast. We are not going to stop. We're going to take a week break. We got some stuff we got to get caught up on other projects that we're working on here for the channel. But we will be back with our review of season 2 of Gen V, and we'll talk about what we think is going to happen with The Boys season 5, the grand finale of The Boys, and our theories and all that kind of stuff. And with that, once again, I'm Nate Slater
And I'm Chris Sambrook, and we'll catch you
in
in
the
the
void.
void.